And let's start admitting people. I'm still relatively a novice at running Zoom, and it shows.
There's Shane.
Speaking of the devil, he popped in. There he
I'm gonna
is.
help her today.
That's so cool.
Awesome, awesome. Looks like you're up in the mountains, my friend.
That I am. That I am.
Lucky
And,
you.
It's just flat out glorious today up here in Pine Top. So just don't want to rub that in because people get offended by that when I start talking about the 70-degree temperatures and stuff in the morning. People don't like to hear that when they're in the valley.
Wait, so Shane, who's on your lap? Who is that?
This is my granddaughter Scarlett. This is my oldest granddaughter. She's a little over 2.
She's adorable. That's cool.
Yeah, she knows she is too,
early.
that's the thing. So she kind of gets away with anything. Around Papa, she gets away with just about anything. Yeah.
Awesome.
She should.
She has blue eyes.
Can you say hi? She's gonna go help Grandma today. No, she's giving love and everything, the whole 9 yards.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's kick this thing off. It's 8:33. I was a little bit late kicking it off. Looks like we've got a good group of folks here today and more people coming in. I'll keep admitting them as they come in. Thanks everybody for attending. My name's Kirk Brewer. I'm the branch manager, Finance of America Mortgage, the Chandler branch, and my cohort in crime and his beautiful granddaughter, Shane Sauer from Greystone Title. He's, well, why didn't you introduce yourself there, buddy?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kirk. And yeah, my name's Shane Sauer. I'm sales manager at Greystone Title Agency. Normally I don't have a helper like this on my lap, but today I do. So it's just one of those things, and will just stay here as long as she can because somehow Papa's lap is very comfortable for her. But yeah, doing a lot with marketing right now as far as that goes, helping a lot of agents out, a lot of good stuff going on right now. So we've got a great guest with us today, though, and I don't know how much time I don't know how much time we want to take, but I know we want to get to Jay as soon as possible.
Yeah, we've got 2 great guests, and I don't think we want to take up a whole lot of time because typically when we're doing stuff with Jay, we get a ton of Q&A, and we want to be able to facilitate that for everybody. We also have Emma with us. Emma's a regular here, and she pops in every week or so to provide some useful Facebook and social media tips as well. So we've got 2 special guests for you guys today. Let's dive right into it. I just want to spend a minute or 2 real quick. I'll share my screen here and just share with you guys what interest rates have been doing. And there we go. Like I said, I'm still a novice at this this whole screen sharing thing, but I'm getting there. Everybody see my screen? Okay. Excellent. This is our website, excuse me, loangeeks.com. And if you go out to our website, there's several ways you can access rates here. We update the rates at least once a day. That's done manually by myself. So I'm literally running rates and keeping you guys up to date with where rates are trending. So if you just go up to the top menu bar here, as well as there's a couple different buttons lower down as well. That'll take you straight to our rate page, which looks like this. And I just updated these rates. This was at 7:32 this morning, fresh rates for the day. We've actually seen rates slightly ticking up. The bond markets were working against us this week. Powell spoke yesterday, and we had some other events. And then it looks like the Japanese Prime Minister is going to be retiring again as well. He has some health issues, I guess. And so we saw some things happening in the market there. But real quick, our 15-year conventional with 0 points at par is around about 2.625. These are purchase rates, by the way, just to let you guys know. We had been down just slightly below 2.5% there when we were at the very, very bottom. Our 30-year fixed conventional, we're now at 3 1/8 at par. And we had actually ticked down into the 2s, the high 2s, when we were at the very, very bottom. And then you can see our govies are running right around 3.
Why Romeo and Doug's was so low? Because
me?
California has a higher conventional amount, or Orange County does, excuse me.
Pardon me?
Exactly. Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. So you can see our govies are run a little bit higher, and for the reason that we discussed prior, with the CARES Act and some of the things associated with forbearance and how that's falling on servicers and lenders when people aren't making their mortgage payment, and the government loans having some of that forbearance hitting them harder. That's where we're seeing some of that premium in those govy rates right now that typically we won't see, and that's why they're bearing 0.5 point. And then last but not least, we also have the jumbo rates. They've continued to come back down nicely. Right now we're in the mid 3s. They had spiked right when COVID hit, mid to high 4s initially, and most investors actually got out of the market for a good 2 weeks or so. And then they realized, okay, the world's not coming to an end, and started to kind of come back in. So that's where we're looking at rates. We're a little bit off the bottom. I mean, we're still, we got smoking low rates right now. No reason for your buyers, if they can find a home, which I'm sure that's going to be something we'll continue to talk about with Jay here with us. If they can find a home, home affordability is awesome when it comes to their ability to finance it and how much they can finance at today's rates. So I will go ahead and turn this over to Shane. Stop sharing. And
Alrighty. Thank you, Kirk. That's awesome. It's always good to know about rates and stuff. And I know we talked a little bit last week about forbearance and that. I know we'll get back on that subject again soon. But I want to kind of show you a little bit what's going on in the valley here. And I'm based out of Chandler, our Chandler office, but I do cover the whole valley. So I always like to bring up Chandler stats because I live in Chandler and I work there. So it's interesting to see kind of what happened last week here in Chandler. And if you could see my screen okay? I think you can. Probably, I hope you can anyways. Kirk, can you see it okay? Okay. Yeah, and for those that have seen this report or get this report on a weekly basis, I think it's a great thing to keep on top of what's going on out there. You can easily share this thing. You could share it on Facebook. You can email it to clients. You could share it on LinkedIn or Twitter, or you can print it out and take it with you to listing presentations. You can give it to buyers, and even have it out at open houses. I know they're coming back a little bit right now too. I'm starting to see more live open houses again, which is good, and it's good. It's good to get back to kind of normal a little bit, but I know everyone's taking a lot of precautions out there. So this is a neat thing because it's on your phone. When you send it to clients, they can hit this little call me button and contact you right away because your phone number is attached to this thing. So a lot of neat stuff here. But what I did notice last week in Chandler, because I keep an eye on these every single week, it has clicked back a little bit to the buyer side. We're still in a very strong seller's market, but it's clicked down. It was sitting up there a little bit higher last week. It's clicked down one notch here in this little buyer seller index. But our median list price still sitting at 475, and even that over time has kind of gone back down. And you can see it here in the 7-day average here, where it's clicking down. And that does affect, of course, that 90-day average, and we'll push that down a little bit. But it has, over the past couple weeks, it's kind of leveled out and it's kind of ticked back down. So interesting stuff to see there. And I did notice last week too, with inventory levels, we did see a little spike up, which was interesting. And I know that's only a 7-day thing. It's last week, but you can see down here what sold last week in Chandler was less than what came on the market last week in every category here, which hasn't happened. It's like a unicorn. It really is. I haven't seen that in quite some time. So it's interesting to see, and I don't know if that's going to be a trend that's going to continue. I know kids are back in school and things are going on again, so maybe we're going to see a little trend and get some more inventory on the market. But it'll be an interesting run to the end of the year now, I think, with what I'm hearing about foreclosures and things like that. It's going to be very interesting to see how we run up to the end of the year, and with rates staying down, which I think they will for the end. We've got a lot of things going on at one time. So a lot of neat stuff. If you'd like this report or any city or zip code in Arizona, let me know and I'll make sure you get hooked up with this thing. But again, thanks for coming and sharing this with us today. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy doing this little thing every Friday, and it's great to have Jay and Emma on. And we're going to take a back seat now. I think we're going to let these guys go. Right, Kirk? Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah, that is the plan. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Jay first, and then as we wrap up, when we finish up the Q&A and all that good stuff, we'll get Emma in and have her enlighten us on how we can be better at social media. Lord knows every tip she gives us, I can implement better. I'm horrible at this stuff, especially Facebook, where she's an expert. So let's turn it over to Jay. Jay, we didn't have anything specific today other than just what are you seeing from the appraisal side of things, from a COVID perspective, from an inventory and price perspective. Obviously, supply demand affects price, right? And you are in that precarious position. You're seeing maybe incremental list price jumps.
Yeah.
So that's got to be challenging.
So first of all, thanks for having me. Always great to hang with you guys. Different format than I'm used to with you two.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of free flow, right? So in my 30 years of appraising, the last 6 months have been the toughest 6 months of my life.
Really?
From an appraisal perspective, there's always other issues, but professionally, this has been a roller coaster that I've never been through before. And I like to kind of look at closings, March versus April versus May versus June versus July versus August. And it's dramatic what we've gone through. Just kind of looking at my numbers here, March closings, which, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong, are basically a February market snapshot, because the closings are a lagging indicator. The contracts are signed in February, usually at a March closing. Let's just remember how great February was for a minute. I just want to go back to February. So in March, we had 8,900 closings. The average price per square foot was $231 for those March closings. Well, then pandemic, COVID, April numbers went from 8,900 closings to 7,200 closings. Average price per square foot, guys, dropped from $231 a foot to $212 a foot. That's an 8% drop in a month. For me as an appraiser, that's equivalent to the sky falling. I've never seen anything like that. Then May hit. Ready for this? Closings dropped to 7,000, so that was a 2% drop. Average price per square foot. Let's just do this. March, $231. April, $212. May, $178. That is a 16% drop in price per square foot, average month by month. Never in my life have seen that. So we want to talk V recovery, which was a term I'd never heard of before. So we got the front half of the V. That was crazy. Then June comes around and closings jump to 9,700 for the month of June. And these are AR MLS stats. Anybody can pull these. Average sales price in May was $178 a foot. In June, it went back up to $197 a foot. You want to talk about dramatic? So July was consistent with June, and August, looking at August numbers, I think our closings are going to be down a little bit. We still have the end of the month, so we might rally. Average price per square foot for June, July, and August, small fluctuations, but really back to what we were like before. So it is really that V that we've seen. But let's talk for a second about the appraisal implications of that 6-month snapshot, okay? That's where it gets really hard in my business, because I, as an appraiser, we're in August. I need to understand that if I'm using a July closing, that's a good comp because the market's really consistent the last few months. A June closing is a good comp. A May closing, I need to account for that because April and May were crazy impactful from a COVID perspective on sales prices. So the good appraisers, the appraisers that really care about their job and their profession, are focused really heavy on June, July, August closings. and maybe trying to avoid the April and May closings. And I'm aware of that because I do these presentations regularly, and so I have to know my stuff. I don't think a lot of appraisers are aware at how COVID, the bottom fell out of our market for 2 months. And so for the realtors on the call, you need to be aware of that and how this market went like this in a very short period of time. And when you're pulling comps, you really want to focus on June, July, and August, okay? And you want to try and convince your appraiser that you need to really focus on June, July, and August, because a May closing was a different time and April closing was a dramatically different time. So for me, how my job has changed recently is I will expand my parameters in terms of comps, where let's say before I was looking comps between 10 to 15% living area variance from the subject, I might increase that to 20, just so I can use an August, a July, and a June closing rather than going back further in time. I might expand my locational parameters a little bit. And then there's times where if I've got an April closing that's way below my July closings, I might not use it and say, hey, I'm skipping the April closing. I'm using a March closing because April was way impacted by COVID, and I would need to make a time adjustment of maybe up to like 10 to 15%. So appraising's not super easy anyway, but having to understand the nuances of a crazy market like this makes it way tougher. And so I just think that here's the deal. We're not recording this, are we? Oh, we're recording this.
Yes, I am.
So I think most appraisers are B and C students. Like I really do. I mean, there's not a ton of appraisers that I meet and I'm like, that dude is super sharp. You need Dean's List people doing these appraisals right now. You really need people that understand this market. And I feel bad for the one-man shops that aren't in an office environment where we're all bouncing ideas off each other and understanding this. Because I just think a lot of appraisers don't realize what happened in April and don't realize what happened in May. So that's one thing that makes my job really tough. The next thing is this crazy diminishment of supply. Shane alluded to it, Kirk mentioned it. It's dramatic. As of this morning, before I got in this call, ARMLS, there were under 8,300 listings in the system, active listings. That's pretty consistent. I ran it August 3rd, there were 8,301 listings. July, there was 8,268 listings. August 13th, there was 7,977 listings. So we're really consistent in a very historically low number. And you can really tell how low that is when you look at the pendings. Under contract, we have almost 13,500 listings. It's not normal to have more under contracts than active listings. So we're dealing with this crazy lack of supply. And so when a house comes on the market, there's tons of attention placed on that, a lot of showings, and often we're seeing a bidding war. The problem with bidding wars from an appraisal perspective is sometimes the winner is kind of the loser, because you get to where it's priced fair and the market's accepting that price, but then there's this euphoria. I didn't get these two other houses. I need to get this house. And I'm going to put an escalation clause in my deal, or I'm going to put an appraisal waiver in there.
Appraisal waivers and escalation clauses. We're seeing them again.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
big
mean,
time.
look, there should be a document that every realtor should have that they make their buyer sign before you agree to do that. I don't know if that document exists.
A hold harmless.
Yeah, to me, there's liability with that. And I just had a situation the other day where they did a escalation clause on there, or they did an appraisal clause on there, and it appraised like $15,000 or $20,000 below the contract price. And now the buyer's like, I don't want to come out of pocket all that money. And they're like, well, you agreed to waive your appraisal, issues. So I would be really careful. It's a tough time to be a buyer. and I'm not trying to talk anybody out of being a buyer. But I think that supply will come back. Like it just will. I think there's this normal thing. In fact, it's happening in my neighborhood. I live near Tatum and Doubletree, and somebody got a really good price recently for a house on our street. Well, guess what happened next? 2 other listings went on the market. And one of them specifically, the only reason they listed their house for sale, they weren't planning on moving. They're like, if I can get this much for my house, then I'll move.
But
And
where are
so
you gonna
that's right. So
Yeah.
that's this phenomenon that happens. So as an appraiser, just a couple more things. I'm sorry. I'm just my steady stream of consciousness. I understand that if you list a house at $400,000 and you have 18 showings and 6 offers, I understand that that is market acceptance of a price. I get it. I factor that into my conclusion. But what happens next? If you all of a sudden have a bidding war, and now you're up to $425,000 as your final contract price, sometimes that's too high. That's an unsustainable level of appreciation often. And often, you know what follows unsustainable appreciation?
Mhm.
Decline. And so there's a level of appreciation that's kind of expected in a good market like this, especially when we had a few months of pent-up demand. But the problem is sometimes you get that level and that spike gets cut off, and those people who bought up here, it takes them a while to get their equity back. So as an appraiser, I need to be cognizant of the demand for the price, but I also need to understand sometimes these bidding wars lead to some really unrealistic numbers. And so we're seeing a high frequency of appraisals coming in low right now, and I totally understand it. So that's kind of a couple other things that I'm thinking about COVID related. Kirk, I don't know if you've applied for any of these, but there's COVID waivers now. And that's been extended till the end of September. And what I mean by that is certainly there are appraisal waivers, period. But now kind of unique to this COVID time, your loan officer could potentially ask for an inspection waiver on an appraisal. If, let's say, we've had this happen on refinance, Kirk, where it's an elderly couple that lives there and maybe they're at greater risk of getting an infection. They might not feel comfortable with an appraiser going into their house. So there's circumstances where the appraiser is charged with doing an appraisal, but the inspection's been waived. I wanted to bring that to people's attention on this call, because if your listing is the ugliest house in the neighborhood, inspection waivers are great. Like you probably have a higher likelihood of getting a better value if the appraiser doesn't see the messy floors and the crayon writing on the wall or all that stuff. But the reality is most of these listings, when they're on the market, they're nice homes. They're upgraded homes. They've been remodeled. They've been well taken care of. You don't want that inspection waived. You really don't, because if that inspection gets waived, the appraiser's liable to miss something. And I think kind of inherently that appraiser might be more conservative in terms of making condition adjustments and quality adjustments because they've never really seen the home. I had to help a realtor salvage a deal where the appraiser got a waiver to skip the inspection, never called the agents, never asked any questions, never really tried to ascertain information on the property other than look at the 6 MLS photos. Came in $25,000 below the contract price, got the square footage of the house wrong, got the square footage of the basement wrong. That deal almost fell apart. And so be aware of these scenarios, and especially you guys that are representing the buyer, have greater access to Kirk or whoever the loan officer is. If your house is nasty, inspection waivers are great. But otherwise, you want to tell the loan officer, I don't want you to apply for a COVID waiver on this. I want I want to meet the appraiser. I want the appraiser to see the house. I want the appraiser to measure the house. It's important. Last thing I could think, kind of COVID related, because I feel like that's all we're talking about right now. You can be helpful to the appraiser. I'm always a big believer. I'm always an advocate for meeting the appraiser at the inspection and giving them comps. And there's a bunch of information I think you should bring with you in the package that you give to the appraiser. But another thing that I, as an appraiser, really appreciate. I have 7 inspections today. My average day is 4 or 5 inspections. I go home to 4 kids and a wife that kind of is not super excited about COVID related stuff. And I know that there's some risk I incur every time I go into a house. I really appreciate that professional agent who helps me minimize the risk. And what I mean is, if you can get there a few minutes early, get the sneezy kids out of the house, send the sellers off to go get a cup of coffee. Normally I don't care, but in COVID, my risk is reduced if there's 1 person in the house rather than 6, okay? Turning on lights, opening doors, things like that, keeping your social distance. I'm not super risk adverse, but I appreciate that. I really do. And I think that you want to start your professional interactions off with your appraiser on the right foot, saying, hey, there's a package here on the table. Here's some information for you. I've turned all the lights on. I've opened the doors and I've sent the sellers away. Like, I just know that that helps. It helps start things on the right foot. So those are kind of the things that I think COVID and how they're impacting my business right now.
That's good stuff, Jay. A lot of good information. You and I haven't spoken in a while. Heck, I don't know if we've spoken since COVID hit, actually, buddy.
No, it's been before that.
Yeah, so really appreciate all that information. There's a ton of it there. So I'm going to encourage people, unmute yourselves. You got any questions for Jay, any comments? Now's the time to get him. He's a wealth of information. He can really help you guys, provide better service to your client.
There you go.
Okay. Good morning, Jay.
Hey, guys.
Ladies. Quick question. The last statement you just made answered a big question I had for you. How could agents help facilitate the appraiser? You don't want us to do.
I'm sorry, I lost you at the last part. You said, is there something I don't want you to do?
Yes, sir. Any advice you could give on how we can stay out of your way, or how we, maybe you want to elaborate on the last part you just said.
Well, so I'm different than most appraisers. Like, I actually like human beings. And I think a lot of appraisers would rather every agent say, hey, it's vacant on lockbox, go do your thing. Because there's a couple things in that. First of all, I can go faster if I don't have somebody there meeting me, and I can go at my leisure. So I think that there'll be some appraisers who say, just leave a package on the desk and leave. I don't really like that, because I want to have that exchange of information where you feel comfortable that you've done the best job for your client. Does that make sense? Like, I think that if I just say, I don't want you to meet me, I don't want you to talk to me, I just want to do my job, that means I'm not giving you the opportunity to do your job. And I think your job is protecting your clients, start to finish, meeting the appraiser, bringing a package, opening the doors, introducing yourself. And let me just super quick, if we have a couple minutes, Kirk, what I think belongs in that package. That you should
absolutely, Jay. I fully planned we would run over, so don't. Okay. We're good.
Okay. So really quick, I'll work fast. Bring a copy of the purchase contract and staple on the top of it the final counteroffer and highlight the sales price. I'll get the contract from Kirk, or I'll get it from the appraisal management company, but every so often the appraiser doesn't get that final counteroffer. And he thinks we're in escrow at $410,000, but we're actually in escrow at $415,000, and magically the appraisal comes in at $410,000. You don't want that to happen. I've seen deals go south for that. Okay, so copy of the contract. Now in this market, copies of multiple offers. Okay, I think what you guys should start doing is, if you're in one of those scenarios, on the market 2 days, 18 showings, 5 offers, that matters to me. And I would like to maybe see a cover sheet from you with like a paragraph to say, this is how many offers we had, this is how many showings we have a verbal backup, we have this and this, and here's 4 pages of each of those contracts. Give me page 1, 2, 3, so I know the offer price, the personal property, and the concessions, and give me the signature page, okay? So that's item number 2 in the package. In a market like this, when things are going up so crazy, something that shows me illustratively how the market's accepting your price is great information for me. I would also prepare 2 documents if you can. One is an upgrade list. Tell me all the upgrades that we have. Hopefully I'll see them all myself. But if there's a 16 series AC unit, I won't catch that. If there's attic insulation that's been added, I won't catch that. And often your document helps me tell my story to an underwriter. I'll probably scan it and include it in my report. It's really helpful. And I think underwriters appreciate having a, kind of consolidated list of all the things.
Of course, yeah.
The next document is a chronological list of updates. Sounds the same as an upgrade list, but it's not. In 2019, the owners replaced the carpet. In 2017, there was a new roof. And here was the cost of these items. That helps me tell the story. Here's the condition of the house. Here's why I'm making $10,000 condition adjustments, because here's an order of things that have been done to that. So those are two documents. I understand you're, to a certain extent, at the mercy of what the seller gives you. But those are really helpful tools for me. And it makes me happy when somebody who's taken one of my classes comes and says, here's these two documents. It really makes my job easier. And then, of course, comps. I definitely would bring comps. I think somewhere between 3 and 10 comps. I like the one-page printout. And then put notes. Tell me anything you know about the house that maybe I won't have insight to from looking at the listing. Maybe it was a divorce situation. Maybe there were smokers in the house. Maybe there was something else that didn't show well. Maybe it backs a busy street or power lines. I should catch that as an appraiser, but let's make sure the appraiser catches that, right? Don't ignore the low sales, okay? The house next door sold yesterday for $20,000 less than you're under contract for. You can either ignore it and hope I miss it. Pause for effect. I won't miss that, okay? I'm gonna find that. So rather, you're better off telling me why your house is better, okay? That's impactful. Maybe include one listing or one pending in your package. Focus on the lower price listings. I can find overpriced listings without your help. But the lower price listings are concerning. If you're in escrow at $500,000, house next door is listed at $480,000, and it looks to me to be the same house, the principle of substitution, why is yours worth $500,000 when I can go get this one for $480,000? So, in a nutshell, I think those are really helpful things. I like to get that from you. And one of the reasons I like to get that is I feel if you and I had a satisfying interaction, if you walked away from that meeting with me saying, yeah, that Jay wasn't a total tool. He seemed pretty knowledgeable and he was welcome to all the information that I was willing to give him. You're more likely to believe my conclusion and less likely to appeal and less likely to say bad stuff about me. So I like that. It's good for both of us. So those are the kind of things that I would do. And I think your clients will benefit from that.
Thank you,
Well,
Jay.
I'll-
Appreciate that.
Of course.
I'll pipe in just real quick with a comment on that, Jay, which is from the lending perspective. Rebutting an appraisal is a pain in the rear end. It almost takes an act of God. Slows down the process. If we can do the job right the first time, you may not get the conclusion you want, but at least you have the peace of mind of knowing you shared all relevant information on the front end. Then I think we can all come to the table and go, okay, review the appraisal, appraiser did their due diligence, and we can move forward with the transaction versus knowing that high probability something was missed and now we've got to back up and rehash the appraisal. So as much and by the way, Jay's different than a lot of appraisers, like he kind of led into. There's a lot of B and C players out there. Jay's right up there. We've been working together 18 years.
Long time, man.
He does this stuff the right way. So
yeah. Thank you very much. And we value the relationship. Finance of America. So we started an appraisal management company in 2009 called Value Trend Solutions, which has since become Apex. And Finance America has always been like core pinnacle account. So when Kirk calls with a problem, he calls one of the owners and we take care of them. It's a great relationship we're really proud to have.
yeah, it's important to have a resource like Jay as a lender, especially with all the arm's length requirements that we have these days. It really provides us a resource that a lot of other lenders don't have, where we can get some inside information on it if we need it. So,
Cool. Thanks.
Anybody else got any questions for Jay? I could rattle off 10 or 15 based on it.
Yeah.
Just shared. It's all good stuff.
All right. Cool. Kurt.
I have a
Shane,
question.
oh, go ahead.
How do you feel about receiving copies of the prior appraisal if it came from like during the COVID period with all of the ups and downs that we've been through on a quick turnaround sale?
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind getting copies of appraisals. I know there's, we do a lot, our company does a lot of pre-listing appraisals. So I certainly, we certainly do a lot of them. Every so often I get one. Little insight, the first thing that I do is turn to the page to see who the appraiser is. There's a few really good appraisers in this town whose work I respect, and there's a bunch of appraisers' work that I don't really respect. So if it's somebody whose work that I consider a peer, yeah, I'll look at I'll spend some time looking at the appraisal, looking at the comps he used. Maybe there's some questions as to how to handle a certain room or whatever. I'll look at the way he handled it. If it's not somebody that I respect, I will do the same. I will act the same way. I'll smile and say, thank you so much. It's really nice of you. I'll pull out the sketch and then I'll take my own measurements on their sketch, and I don't look at the appraisal. So really, again, I guess the point of that is if you're ever doing pre-listing appraisals, and I don't mean this as a sales call, just make sure you're working with an appraiser who's well respected, because literally, if I get an appraisal from somebody I've never heard of before, I don't even look at it. I really don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Excellent. One last quick question, if I may.
Yeah.
Guys, this goes to Jay or to Kirk or Shane, or anybody who feels they have some input. Being that this whole COVID-19 situation is unprecedented, what's your guys' gut feeling about where we are in it? Are we in the third inning, the fourth inning, the fifth inning? Do you see an end in sight? Do you see any change? Or do you see some new permanent changes in the industry? What's your take on that? The reason I ask, I just got my license last week, so this is new for me. And you guys have been doing it for a long time. So I'm kind of born into this. It's a little strange.
So let me give my answer quick. You don't want my answer because I don't know. Like when I was speaking to groups in March and April, and I said, people would ask me, what's my take on the market and where it's going? I'm like, Arizona's positioned great. I'm pretty confident the virus isn't going to survive in hot weather. Wrong. I'm pretty confident that once everyone feels like there's a solution in sight, Arizona is going to pop. But I was thinking that was end of the year, early next year. There was, in my wildest dreams, did I not think June would do what June did. So I'll let, all I can tell you is I've been wrong about this for, I don't understand why people came out here as fast as they did. I was wrong. COVID did just fine in Arizona in June. So I don't know. I'll let the experts answer that one better than me.
Thank you.
Nobody knows but God.
I guess it's a question for God, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy. Right? I do think, and probably, I think we've all seen a migration from California.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely from some other
Colorado.
states. I think without getting political, I think there's some people that just can't handle the government out there anymore. And so we've definitely seen that. And I don't think we're done. I think that this whole working from home thing is a game changer. It's a game changer. So those neighbors of mine who just put their house on the market, who weren't planning on moving, they're like going to go live in Hawaii for 6 months. He's a lawyer here in town, and they can do their job from anywhere. And that's a game changer. I think maybe you see some migration away from high density areas to lower density areas. But I don't think we've really finalized what that's going to mean to us. I know I own a couple office buildings, and I'm scared to death that I'm going to have trouble keeping those things filled because people like to work at home now. Right?
That's the truth. I think it's going to change this industry dramatically coming out of this thing. a lot of my industry, a lot of my underwriters and stuff, everyone's working from home. Now they're starting to lessen the restrictions a little bit. I was talking to one of our agency reps who we're underwritten by First American Title and First National Title out of Texas. But I was talking to First American rep on Wednesday, and he comes to our offices and makes sure how we're doing, and then wants us to write on his paper and whatever. But they've just lifted the restrictions where he can actually take lunch appointments. Can't go into the offices yet, but now he could take lunch appointments with clients, and it's just interesting how this has gone. And Jay, I know you mentioned California, and I talked to a California agent here a couple weeks ago, and they have the same inventory issues that we have here.
Oh, they
So,
do?
Yes, he was saying the exact same things that agents are talking about here. So I'm like, who's buying in California? I mean, where? And then I heard foreign investors and stuff like that, which is completely possible. I don't have my finger on the pulse of California real estate,
Wow.
but it was interesting to hear. And he's in the Bay Area, so he said we have the same problems. We have multiple offers. Things are going crazy. I'm like, I thought everyone was leaving California and coming here.
Me too.
But-
I don't get it. This is just crazy.
Yeah, the whole thing's nuts.
Real quick to pipe in, what was your name? I see Fawn.
Hi, I'm Thomas Barisi.
Hey, Thomas. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're joining us in this profession.
That's all good. It's all good. Happy to be on board.
Let's revisit in a year.
Short sale market, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, let's revisit in a year and see how it's going. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts going on. We've been talking since this thing hit that looks like it's going to reshape the industry.
Yeah.
Inventory issues. We don't know where that's going to go. I don't know where the inventory is going to come from.
New builds.
I do believe people are going to leave high density areas. I think it's a foregone conclusion. I also think if I own commercial real estate, I would be selling right now. Because I think in 5 years, we're going to look back, commercial industry is going to be decimated. That's my personal opinion. I may be right, I may be wrong, but they're figuring, look at where we're all sitting at home right now having
I know.
productive, right? So who's going to go spend $50,000 a month on a lease in some Class A space? My company's got millions of dollars of leases that when those leases are up, they're not going up, right? So that's going to remake things. All of us, with few exceptions, can be working from home. Jay has to go out and do inspections. Periodically, I have to meet a client, but most of my stuff can be done electronically. So we're going to see a complete makeover. That's going to impact what you guys do as real estate agents. People are going to have to buy bigger homes or buy a home that fits their new lifestyle. It's unwritten, but I think it's a great opportunity. I also see rates staying low for the foreseeable future for a bunch of reasons, which is affordability. I don't know how much prices can continue to spike like Jay touched on. We've seen a short-term spike here. I don't think short-term will kill us, but if it continues to climb like we saw back in the 04, 05, 06, 07, oh shit, we could see some real big problems. So I think having forums like this is why Shane and I started this, so that we can get together, because you guys work from home, I work from home. We can get together and we can share information and see what each other's seeing as this is evolving.
Or just commiserate, right?
Yeah, or just wallow in our misery. But stay informed, right? And make sure that ultimately it comes to serving our clients and providing them the best service. And the more we know within our respective professions of mortgage, title, real estate, appraising, the better we all are at serving those people. Yeah. So that's a great question. There's a lot of answers that are going to come out of this thing, but I don't think we're done with COVID. I think that's going to continue to shape through early next year.
Yeah.
A vaccine could be a game changer, but that's still, up in the air.
My thought is January. That's my thought. That's what I'm going with.
Well, we need to get 2020 under our belt. I don't know how many here, but man, I'm ready to write this one off.
Yeah.
Me long.
Wait, so just since this is just kind of, we're all just hanging out. So I've got a son at University of Arizona. He's a freshman. And did you hear what University of Arizona did yesterday? They're so on it. I have to give them credit. Like my son's down at the dorm and I'm a little nervous that his dorm's not the greatest environment to socially distance. But in one of their dorms, they're testing the wastewater in each of the dorms. And they tested the wastewater. COVID was present in the Likens dorm down in Tucson, which is my son's dorm. And they went to all the people in the dorm and said, can we give you a free test? Because they were being super proactive. They found 2 positive tests and they quarantined those people. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, both my boys are,
They're scary.
they're all doing online. But they have friends that as soon as school started, they're in fraternities and sororities, and within a week, boom, just
Cut down.
boom, boom, boom. A bunch of people they know tested positive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's social distancing still is in order, and it's tough, I think, for college students. I'd hate to be a college student right now. That'd be brutal.
Right.
Absolutely. Anybody else got any more questions for Jay? I didn't run over, so I appreciate everybody hanging around. It's a rare opportunity to get Jay here. We'll bring him back because Jay's always a wealth of knowledge. But if anybody's got any more questions, now's the time. All right, well, let's bring Emma in.
All right, I'm going to take off, guys. Hey, thank you.
Thanks,
Always great
Jay.
to see you.
Thanks, Jay.
Take
All right,
care,
bye.
bud.
Enjoy your weekend.
You too. Hey, Emma, thanks for hanging with us.
Of course. Okay, so let me just share my screen with you guys, and I can tell you about a terrible thing that is happening called new Facebook. Let me just switch over.
I hate that new interface.
Yeah.
And they're not letting me keep it anymore. Before they let me say, no, I didn't want it.
Yep, I know. I was living in denial as well. I kept switching back all the time, and I was like, oh, I hope they don't make this permanent, but it looks like they really are. There's been new notifications out that they are going to permanently switch everyone over in September. Is that September 1st? Is that September 30th? I don't know, but we know it's coming. So one of the biggest complaints that we've been seeing about new Facebook is just that it is super not intuitive and that people don't even know what's going to happen when they click on the different icons. So today I'm just going to run through them really quick just so you know when you're on your news feed, you know, where is everything that you might be trying to do. So if we go into the news feed really quick, so you can see at the top it has all these icons. So your home icon is the closest to normal you're going to get. This is where your news feed is. You're going to see your shortcuts on the side. You're going to see your pages on the other side. You're going to see your contacts near the bottom. And so that is the new normal. Basically, this is what you're going to see when you log in. So you can scroll through your news feed like you normally would. It looks mostly the same. It's just the interface at the sides and at the top that looks a little wonky. And then you can see this little friends icon right here. So I'm not really sure why this exists, to be honest, but when you click on it, it shows you your friend requests, it shows you people you might know. And when you click on a person, it populates their profile. So is that a helpful feature? I wouldn't say that it is, but that is what it does. And then if you click over onto, sorry, my Zoom thing is in the way. If you click over onto this one, this is Facebook Watch. So you can see that it just is a feed of videos. And so this is going to be really random stuff. It's really not informed by anything you've been watching. It's like a lot of what your friends are watching or things like that. So this is just another random news feed for you of just video content.
That's TikTok on Facebook.
Yeah. That's kind of Facebook's thing, is they try their best to, imitate other platforms. And so right now they have what's called Reels on Facebook or on Instagram, which is literally the direct competitor they have to TikTok. But then also they have this on Facebook as well. So that's that, if you want to scroll through a bunch of videos. And then this little house guy over here is just Marketplace. You've probably seen Marketplace before. And then this is Groups. So you can see it had like a little notification icon when I clicked on it. So that's telling me that there's 8 new things that are going on in the groups that I'm in. So that informs this news feed, which is another news feed. Now you have 3 of them, and this is just going to be groups. So whatever groups you're in, you can scroll through and see, you know, what's going on in your groups, and you can comment and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so those are the main icons at the top and what they do, just so you guys aren't completely lost when you do switch over, or if you have already switched over. Hopefully this is somewhat helpful for you, just so you know what's going on. And so that was all I had for today, just because I knew that people were going to want to see what Jay was doing. So here, let me stop sharing my screen. So for those of you who don't know me, by the way, my name is Emma. I'm the co-founder of a company called Remodel Social, and we offer automated Facebook posts for Arizona real estate agents. So if you struggle to post on your Facebook page, or you hate posting on Facebook, or you don't want to learn any of this stuff and you just want to have an active Facebook business page, you can get a hold of me. Our website is remodelsocial.com. I'm just Emma at remodelsocial.com, and I'll throw that in the chat right now. But yeah, if you have any questions about Facebook, if you have a unique Facebook situation that you want to talk to me about one-on-one, we do free virtual consultations. So if you want to get a hold of me, ask me any questions you have. And yeah, that is it for me. So thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Emma. That new interface, well, you know, we've had conversations. I'm not a Facebook fan to begin with. I don't ever think it's user-friendly. And now this new interface, I'm scared the Jesus out of me.
It's terrible.
Job security for you, I am sure.
I gotta find that squirrel video though, because that looked funny.
Oh, it was, I've actually seen that before. It's super funny. Yeah, this guy creates like an obstacle course in his yard for all the squirrels. It's hilarious.
I guess if you got time for that stuff, right?
Right. I think in this new world, everyone has time for stuff that they never imagined before.
Squirrel time.
There's that.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks, Emma. Emma's here, like I said, a couple times a month to help us all with our social media as well. She's a great resource. So it's always great to have her in. She's helping me out tremendously. Mm-hmm. Anybody got any last questions, comments, anything like that before we wrap it up? Cool. Well, guys for coming. Shane, my friend.
We're here every Friday at 8:30. So good stuff. We got some great stuff coming up in September too. So
yeah, as a matter
right
of
around
fact, Emma's doing a class for us the 11th.
I think the 16th, something like
16th,
that.
yeah.
16th. We also have a 1031 exchange class coming up in September, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll get announcements out to you guys on that stuff as well. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Stay cool. It looks like it might be a monsoon weekend, so maybe it'll bring your temperatures down a little bit. Not up there, huh, Shane?
Nah, it's going to be nice up here regardless. It rained yesterday, but nothing today. It looks clear. Supposed to be like 85 or 84 today. I'll take that.
All right. I'm just going to end the call now. That's enough.
Appreciate all your help, everybody.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, you
Thanks,
too.
everybody.
Bye
Bye
now.
now.